Dear
Yeah.
folks of Baba, this Sunday we are continuing with the chapter Changing Our Address on page 95 in Darwin Shaw's book, Effort and Grace. Here he delves into the subject of what Baba refers to as the provisional ego, which Darwin says is the shortest path to merging with Baba. But this requires that thinking of Baba as the doer has to become less of an exercise and more our actual experience. Ideally, we are vacating our premises, so to speak, and letting Baba, the new resident, while we move into our new quarters as the witness. Your sharing of your own experiences and challenges with this ongoing transition are wholeheartedly welcomed. First, an invaluable quote by Baba on the provisional ego. Provisional meaning temporary, of substitute arranged for the time being only. Think of me in everything you do. Eat, dance, but forget yourself in the action and think of me instead. This is union through action. The less you think of yourself and the more you think of Baba, the sooner the ego goes and remains. When you, ego, go entirely, I am one with you. So bit by bit, you have to go. Today, your nose, tomorrow, your ears, then your eyes, your hands, everything. Think of me when you eat, sleep, see, and hear. Enjoy everything, but think it is all Baba. Baba enjoys it. Baba is eating. Sleep soundly in Baba. And when you wake up, remember it's Baba getting up. Keep this one thought constantly with you. If you do wrong then think it is Baba doing wrong. If you get a pain, think it is Baba getting a pain. Then it will be all the time Baba. Try to forget yourself and do all for Baba. Let it be Baba all the time. It might be said that the provisional ego is the last train stop in creation. As I mentioned, it usually begins as a mental exercise. But ultimately, the truth behind the provisional ego needs to be revealed in us through experience. That is, the provisional ego is useful as a concept, but it has to eventually become a reality. One day we will realize that all along it has been Baba living what we have always claimed is our life. It is really Baba who gets up in the morning and lives our day, not us. It was Baba who went back for that extra helping of roast turkey and dressing on Thanksgiving. In watching a movie, for example, we may find ourselves identifying with one of the characters. So when that character is in danger, we feel we are in danger. When they succeed, we succeed. When they fall in love, we fall in love. In the end, however, when the credits come up, we know that it was all a projection on our part. We get so identified with the character in the movie that we become that character for the time being. But Baba has said that it has never been us. He is the one who plays all the roles. That is, it is Baba who is living the life we see on the screen before us, and we are projecting our consciousness onto him and claiming that we are the one who is living this life. This is our colossal mistake. In lifetime after lifetime, we identify with the character before us and pulled into the whole illusion of creation. What we are being asked to do is to remain fully aware of creation, but not identify with anything in it. Or put in another way, to be aware that everything and everyone is Baba. Such a detachment, Baba says, is not sterile or passive, but it is a state of flowing and dynamic responsiveness to life characterized by a loving spontaneity that always leaves our consciousness free. In this way, love is finally liberated from being bound by creation and can express itself in each moment as it wishes, unrestrained by what our personality wants. Baba has said that we are really infinite, but we identify with the mind and instantly we become a person. If we didn't do this, we would remain the infinite that we really are. All this is a very tall order from Baba. Bit by bit, we have to go. I know we all sometimes feel in certain moments that Baba is working through us or eclipsing us in a particular situation. We may feel him watching us. And now it all has to be reversed, little by little, so that it is watching him live what we formerly called our life. The Mandalay have said that people are just playing their roles. They are not really their roles. It is really Baba in disguise. What a huge challenge. This requires an unfathomable effort that is truly ongoing. All my love in our beloved Baba, Jeff, or should I say Baba? Jai Baba, thank you for letting me read.
Yeah, that was a little longer than I realized. I hope you guys didn't fall asleep. So I don't know, I've found this, it's easy the way Baba puts it into words there, but the actual living of this, putting it into practice, I've found greatly difficult. And I'm just wondering, I mean, I'll later on, I'll tell you some of my struggles, but how have you folks done with this? I mean, have most of you tried to do this? Anybody want to venture?
Yes.
Go for it, Bob.
Well, yeah, I have tried it, and I continue to try it. I mean, I've got a little note next to my front door that reminds me of Baba's telling us before beginning anything, think it is me doing it, not you. That's sort of the gist of it. And so, I'm all right. This is Baba. This is you getting into the car and going to the store. But for me, just actually experiencing that as more than an exercise is something that I have not arrived there. I cannot say that I have actually ever deeply experienced that, but I keep trying. So, oh.
Yeah, I know that state well. Diane, go ahead, Diane. Yeah.
So I'm going to try and say this without making it sound too much of a Debbie Downer. But if somebody's not responding positively to you, rejecting you, ghosting you, what have you, does that mean Baba's doing it? Is that why it hurts so much?
He said, I mean, that's what he says. I mean, he plays all the roles. There's that quote from Ramana Maharshi when asked, what is our relationship? What should our relationship be with others? And he said, there are no others. I mean, that's our beloved as a hand puppet irritating us through somebody. But ask your question again.
If somebody rejects me or doesn't want to work out something with me or be present with me, or is that Baba rejecting me? Is that Baba ghosting me?
That's not the avatar Baba.
No.
It's the imperfect Baba doing that to you. If you know what I mean. It's not the all-knowing Baba. That's what I would say.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? It's not the avatar?
It's not the all-loving avatar doing that. It's the partially loving Baba, partially aware Baba doing it to you. That's what I would say. In other words, don't take it personally like it's Baba rejecting you. It's Baba in the form of an ignorant human being rejecting you. Does that make sense?
A lesson.
Terry's saying it's a lesson.
Yeah, that's another way of looking at it. But yeah, I mean, because people reject you just on the color of your skin, so you can't that's way off. Crazy. But anyway, let's see if anybody else, the answer, further answer to what you have to say may come up in the next lineup here. Jay Seema? Anyway, go ahead, Radha.
I had my hand up too.
Who's that?
Um,
Go ahead.
It's Marsha.
Go ahead, Radha. Yeah.
I just wanted to reply to you, Diane. I think sometimes in my life, those moments when I'm really almost confounded by people's inability to either accept your love or to see who you are, or any experiences of rejection. I find those moments are the ones that really drag me deeper into hanging out with Baba, because I reach a point where I don't know what to do. You want someone to love you in a particular way, or these are our desires. And I think it is, I agree with Terry there. I think it is a lesson in learning how to not be attached to what we want. And I think that's very connected to us always realizing that everything is Baba, because he said that pain is my gift to you. We don't put those on the Baba cards. So I think that's all I have to say.
Yeah. No, I agree. Beautifully said. I guess, yeah, go ahead.
Me?
Patty, go ahead. Yeah.
I think Jasima's having problems with his computer, so I know, Marcia, you were next.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
Mark.
Yeah. I've been, the more I entrust everything to Baba, like in the morning and in the evening, I started doing it during the day, and he's our constant companion. And when I feel like this is my interpretation, if you run into somebody that is disturbing, it's not Baba somebody being bad to you. It's to point out what you should be looking at in yourself, what it brings up in you. So everybody's relationship with Baba at the same time is individual, and we each have different things that we're supposed to that we want from past things that we need to have come up. And so, like, we're all reflections, but I just feel like we're in a big movie, and Baba's doing the whole movie because maybe he got bored. I have no clue, but it's just it's not an easy life, but I always know that at the end of the day, I try to he's in my mind all the time now, and I just, when I go to bed at night, I don't go till everything's just the way he wants. I can become compulsive, but when I go to bed at night, I sleep real good. And then if I feel crummy, I go in the shower and I just shower off all the junk and stuff. But it's not an easy life, but I'm learning I'm trying to detach. I mean, I feel bad about everybody that's suffering, and we pray a lot for people, but it's not our thing. It's everything for each person is individual on what they have to get rid of, or in this lifetime. So it's kind of like, I feel this lifetime is a time where he's giving us the chance while we're still in the body to get rid of these things, so we don't have to come back and do the same thing over and over again. It's like he said, he's the shortest trip, to whatever. And we really I won't know anything till I pass. But the most important thing is that if I hear that intuition that's Baba's voice, then I listen to it, and when I don't, I know I really messed up, but he's forgiving. So you just have to, he said, just let it go and examine your thoughts, but don't attach to them. And it's all, I'm not saying I do all that. But I try, all these things it's like, we're like tape recorders, so everything's in there. Anyway, that's enough. So.
Yeah. Thank you, Marcia. Well said. And yeah, let's go on to Patty.
Jay Baba, everybody. I think that Marcia and Rada were addressing what I was going to say to you too, Diane. What I'm really experiencing for myself is, as long as I'm present and I am interacting, I believe, with another instead of with Baba, there comes disengagement with Baba through that action. And I don't know if I'm being clear about that, but everyone that we interact with, we're just interacting with them for our greater good, which is what Marcia was saying. And it takes intense focus, not from our mind, but in our heart, to stay open to seeing what we are being given. And I too will agree with Bob and Marcia, and I don't know about Rada, but and Jeff, I'm not there probably 99% of the time, but I do have awareness in my consciousness that is the goal. And sometimes after a long engagement with absurdity, with trying to either convince someone or to connect with someone, I see it. I see the folly of the dance that is happening. And then I can somehow be in my heart and share, well, for Christ's sakes, we're just talking to the one in both of us, or something like that. And we can use humor, we can use, hopefully, the knowing that we are in each other through Baba. And anyway, it's a fine dance. And oh my God, sometimes when I was younger, it felt like I could be there, but the more experienced player I become, the less I'm sure of anything. But but I sure enjoy his bringing these things to my attention. Basically, if I've somehow slipped out of that realm, which it's pretty often. I've been reading a lot of novels lately just to avoid, just get into another drama, because life can be challenging. So, but it's great to see everybody, and happy Thanksgiving to all of us, because I think we have a lot to be thankful for on this weekend. So, Jai Baba.
Good. You're saying remind me what Danny Ladinsky told me, that we when we went out to Marizod, Erich would be there, and Monty, and they would embrace us, and they'd say, Jai Baba Patty, Jai Baba Diane, Jai Baba Rada, and everything. But on the morning of Baba's birthday, when they would be in Baba's bedroom at 5 a.m, and there would be people gathered there, on this occasion, Erich would embrace them and say, I love you, Baba. Embrace this, I love you, Baba. So he was seeing Baba, each of us disguised, Baba in our disguised face up. There, but he didn't do that there on the veranda there. It might have been a little bit too but he kind of let it slip. Anyway,
Hey Jeff, do you want me to call on people, or you want to do that?
Go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Elizabeth.
Hi, Diane. So that is a little sticky question situation you talked about. And what came to mind immediately is that Baba, when there's an encounter like that, I think about Baba being in each person in his manifestation as the one in many different forms. So in the multiplicity of forms. So they're in the little drop that has a certain kind of perception and way of being and thinking and desires and whatever, and it's limited. And that's what we're all growing out of. And I think that when we come into contact with negativity or anything really, we're dealing with another bit and so for me, when that happens, it's helpful to try to go beyond whatever the situation is by thinking that there's Baba in that person, and anyway, I don't know if that's if I said it very well, but I just think I don't think it's, as Jeff said, it's not the whole complete, God realized avatar who's speaking or thinking that way, because that one would be all one. There would not be any division. It would just be oneness, and oneness combines all the opposites. So anyway, I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, you'd feel a little bit different if it were Baba there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ron.
Shall I say something?
A couple of things
Yeah.
came to mind. One is that this somebody already mentioned that the life is like a movie or a play, a drama, a book. It's a story that unfolds. We have all these stories unfolding, and I have to say, like, if I go to a movie, my favorite plot in a movie, I don't know if you call it the plot, but my favorite thing to happen in a movie is for two characters to start off really on each other's nerves, and just they can't stand each other. They are hating each other. They're disturbed in some way by the other person. And by the time the movie draws to a close, the climax is that they have helped each other in some major way in their life and helped solve all kinds of problems for each other, and have become the best of friends. So that leads to the other thing that I wanted to say, is that everything and everyone and every circumstance that we will come in contact with is, to our minds, to the normal way that most people would think, they jump to the idea that it's permanent. Now, if you give it any thought, you'll see that actually it's always temporary. And none of these things are permanent. But our minds tell us they're permanent. And unless we remember that they're just temporary, we get depressed and angry, and it becomes so serious. Whereas if we can always remember as soon as possible, it takes some practice as to how quickly this will happen. You can remember that whatever situation is offering it's temporary. And also the other two items besides that is our minds jump to the idea that this particular, let's say a particular quality in a person that's really bothering you is pervasive. So that if they are unkind, or they're impolite, or they seem to be out to get you, or something like that, it's not the whole person. It's just some specific thing. It's very specific. And if we can just look at the specific thing, we'll realize we got a whole bunch of other stuff that we might really like about that person or that situation, and just be ready to receive that. And then that other thing won't be so serious. And then lastly, the other thing, the other way that the mind works is it takes everything personally. And so, like if somebody does something to you, it's because of who you are, and you become affronted by that person taking it personally. But we don't need to take it personally, because it's actually a very temporary situation that is there, and because it's a situation, that situation is only going to last. The effects of that situation is only going to last for a very short time, but we forget that. And so, see everything as a situation, as a temporary one, and a specific and everything being specific. And if we can remember that, I think Baba will help us to go through it without breaking that equipoise that he loves to see in us, see for us.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful, very helpful. I mean, I agree. There's that's valuable to keep in mind. This too shall pass.
That was my mother's favorite saying, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
Jaya, I saw you had raised your hand and then taken it down. Did you
Yeah.
want to speak, Jaya? And then we'll go to
Yes.
Brian.
Yes. Okay. Just I want to tell about this this ego, temporary ego, and egoism, all these things, and thinking of Baba for the starting of everything, and always thinking about Baba. That really it helps in that way, because see, certain things are there like samskaras. Why we behave like that? Why the opposite other person behaves like that? Everything, if you go through that samskaras, that other each person behaves according to their samskaras. The samskaras, that is like a previous or that previous birth. Suppose if they have done something, then next to that samskara they'll take it like that. So these samskaras also one of the parts of why the people react in a different way. I see that is there, but Baba is in good person is also Baba is there, in bad person is Baba is there, in thief is also Baba is there, some murder is also Baba there. But Baba is everywhere, but everyone behaves according to their own samskaras. It is not Baba has done anything, now Baba is, that means Baba is everywhere, in everything, good or bad. There's no difference for him. There is no difference for him. One day, when Mahatma Gandhi asked him, "Why don't you are doing so much? Why can't you help me in the peace and like in the violence? These things are going non-violence. Why don't you, at least because you have so many followers are there, when India is getting independent, why can't you tell?" Then he's telling, "For me, that other country is same as your country is same. For me, there is no difference." See, that is what the same thing applies everywhere, in each individual also. It is our own samskaras. We suffer because of our own samskaras. That is like a divine divine rule that is there. See, everybody behaves according to their own samskaras. Somebody is hurting also because of their samskaras. We are getting hurt also because of their samskaras. Everything. But Baba giving that thing, that what Baba says is how to be happy in all situations. How to be happy in all situations. In all situations means everybody will be happy in good situations. If everybody is happy, whatever they want, if they are getting it done, they will be happy. If suppose if their expectations are not being served, then they become unhappy. So that is what in all situations you think of Baba. Baba is giving me this suffering. That Baba is through Baba. Okay, this is the thing. Baba, help me out. You take the help of Baba's name. The day it won't come in one day. It won't come in one day. When they suppose if somebody hurts or somebody is in pain or something, this attribute to Baba. This Baba, you are giving me. You only say you have to help me out. How to come out of that? This is your duty. You do that. It is not me. You are doing it. You do that. You take care of it. Leave everything to him. Leave everything to me. I am a physician. See, I have such a belief. I have so many experiences, any profession, any procedure I do, anything, just I'll do it for Baba. Somebody comes, oh, you have done that, doctor. No, it is he has done. See, that is the way. If you any act, if you think about anything, what you do, it is not you are doing. It is Baba is getting through you. You are doing, and somebody is getting even hurting. Also, the same thing. Baba, it is not Baba. Yes, Baba is hurting through you. That is because the samskaras. So, but it is not Baba hurting you. That person is, because of his samskaras, he is behaving. And because we behave, everybody behaves according to samskaras. Through that pain, you always remember Baba. Nobody in our life, no life is without suffering. Some way or other, everyone has to suffer in our this thing, according to their samskaras. According to everyone has to go through the stage. But Baba said in simple way, how to be happy. There is no life. Everybody has single life. to be happy. Baba has given to our life to breathe, the right to this. They say our body itself is created to be happy. Everyone, we have right to be happy. That's what Baba said, that human life is to be happy always, in all situations. It is very, very easy to say, but very, very difficult to practice. That practice has to come if you give it to Baba.
Yeah.
Give it to Baba. That is my answer.
Okay, Jaya, thank you. And you keep that pretty much happening. I know. Let's go with Brian.
All right. Yeah. So I really liked your question, Jeff. I think what you said was, this provisional ego stuff, like thinking that, Baba's doing this, or I'm, basically everything that's happening is happening through Baba within me is a provisional ego you can kind of wear. And sort of how are we doing with that practice and that mindset? And I think I've definitely tried to do that, and keeping that mindset is definitely, it's a challenge to keep it on, because the regular ego competes with the provisional ego. And and sometimes I feel like I can be present for my actual ego arising within my awareness. So then I'm like, do I put a like a provisional ego on top of that, kind of thing? So the one-pointed focus of using the provisional ego is definitely like a spiritual skill that I feel like we need to develop. And that one point, and it's like that commitment to that is a serious commitment. I mean, it's like, okay, you don't just like try it on and to maybe let it go. It's like, this is the way I'm thinking for the rest of my life. It's like I feel like you have to treat it, if you're serious about it, like this is the thing. It's a very serious practice. So I've tried it on for a while, but I feel like I can't keep up the momentum for it to stick and for it to be my constant state of awareness. But it doesn't mean I've given up on it. I just feel like there's all kinds of practices, but this is a serious one. And like what it reminds me of is, like in the Zen tradition, these monks and stuff use koans, and these koans are like all encompassing. It's like, this is the practice. They're completely one pointed on this practice. And with Baba, it's very similar. It's like, I'm seeing everything as Baba. That's a serious practice. And maybe we put it down when the ego is not present and we're just functioning in kind of autopilot. But when the ego does arise, to like sort of put it in the context of something greater, we're using the mind to like elevate the mind, right? So anyways, that's what comes to mind.
Yeah, beautiful, excellent. You know what, let me break in, because something you said reminds me of a conversation in Mandalay I had with Merwan Jesawala. And I said to Merwan, over the years, I've tried the provisional ego, and I've done it for months. It feels good and everything, but I've never been able to make it stick. It kind of comes unraveled at some point. And so I kind of get off of that. And so I said, what would you suggest? What can I do? Because I can't seem to, this is years ago, I can't seem to hold that, like Brian was saying, to hold that in my consciousness. And so this is what Merwan said. He said, do this. When you wake up in the morning, say, Baba, come with me. I'm entering the day. And Baba, come with me. I'm going to work. Baba, I'm come with me. I'm going for a lunch break. He even said, Baba, come with Baba, I got a piddle. Come with me. Come with me. I got a piddle. So I said to him, oh, that's kind of like plan B until you can kind of move into plan A. In other words, take Baba with you everywhere you go, and then eventually, hopefully, you'll actually begin to see that it's actually Baba doing all of this, but bring him along. So that had a great appeal to me. And that was a major step in transitioning toward the provisional ego. And later on, I'll kind of share some of my struggles and challenges, things that I had to overcome in order to feel a little more intimate with the provisional ego. But
Rich.
Well, I've been listening to everything, and I think being human, we are trying to form psychological theories, because some of us here are really brilliant, really awake, really aware, been through a lot. Like Jaya says, just suffering seems to be the wall which we always hit, no matter what. But I think I have a slightly different take going on in my mind while I'm listening. And it's like, no, I want to be the biggest ego of all. My real joy in life would be to have all, not my wishes and desires filled, but to have infinite self. I want infinite self. I don't want this limitation stuff. I don't want the small stuff. I don't want to be the king of the prom. I want to be infinite awareness. That, to me, is what Baba is getting at. It's beyond psychology. It's not psychology at all. Baba has to put it in terms that we can kind of play with it, grasp it, get an experience. He has come to awaken us. That's it. To him, to this whole process, to you, who you are, who I am. But no, I'd rather be completely immersed in my self-experience. I want my complete infinite self-experience. I don't want nothingness. Nothingness is not God. That's not God. That's not God. That's God without awareness. That's what nothingness is. God with awareness is the complete experience of who I am, of myself. And I'm frustrated because I can't get that. So I'm living with all this crap that I call me all the time. It's very frustrating. Well, thank you. Thanks for listening.
Well, hopefully we'll keep on going. We haven't even gotten into the discourse yet, but Radha had her hand up.
Well, I was thinking about I love how Darwin talks about dressing your soul in Baba. And I think about this in two different ways. One, when I'm dealing with something painful, okay, and then the other, just trying to be more God conscious, be more conscious as I move through the world. Moving through the world and relating to people, what I'm trying to work on now is just being fully present, and really, like we gathered with friends for Thanksgiving and just I found myself experiencing these friends in a different way, partly because of our Zoom meetings and what I've been reading, but just sitting and listening and focusing on seeing Baba in them made me a better listener. I felt a better friend, and forgot myself a little bit. But of course, that goes away all the time. But the time in pain I find really helpful, and also not in pain, is Baba's name. I love to knit, and I love to put Baba's name into every stitch I do. I say the prayers, but not long ago I was experiencing some really difficult pain with a family member, and I was so distraught, and the only thing that would comfort me was for my husband. I'd just say, would you get out, Effort and Grace, or would you get out one of the Baba's books, and would you just read to me? Just read to me. And what would happen is I would move from feeling, not knowing what to do, not understanding the situation, feeling at a loss as to what was appropriate. And I would just move into peace, just listening to those words. And so those are just, a few of the ways I'm really trying to be more and more, to allow Baba, just to realize that Baba is within me. Jai Baba.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Should
Yeah.
we do Ron and then go to reading?
I just wanted to respond to Rich's idea, and basically this is somewhat contentious, I would say, because my understanding is not that we have to become our infinite self rather than becoming nothing. I think my understanding is that we have to become nothing in order to be our infinite self. In other words, for one thing, Baba talks about nirvana, which is the I am nothing state. The I am nothing state precedes the nirvikalpa samadhi state, which is I am everything. So first you have to have the wipe the slate clear somehow, and then in comes in the big event where you become who you really are. And of course that's a mystical sort of metaphysical thing, but in daily life, I'm just finding that Baba is removing. This is kind of paradoxical, but he's removing my limitations, my weaknesses, and little by little. If I just let him go, I'm basically inviting him to take them away and not return them if he doesn't. If I can get away with it. So I think just inviting Baba to take those things away allows him to fill up that heart cup with his wine. So the cup has to be empty in order to fill it well. So I don't know. I don't know if you think that's contentious with what you were saying, Rich, but I thought I'd offer
Yeah.
that up.
I mean, you have to vacate the premises so that the sunlight can come in, so to speak, and
Well, my problem with this whole thing, it's not with anybody, but it's with myself, I guess. But my problem is that I don't think, from everything Baba says about living life and enjoying life and trying to be happy in the middle of all the illusion, I don't think that leads to nothingness. I think nothingness is it's more of a theoretical version of the other side of infinite consciousness, right? And I don't think what Baba is saying, you will experience infinite nothingness. You would if you were at that stage, maybe. But I think what he is saying is, become me, 100%, infinite self. Infinite self. That's what he's awakening us to, not to infinite nothingness. So my problem is, well, then how does it work? Come on, Baba, flip the switch. I don't know. Who knows, Ron? I know I don't know.
You'll get there, like Baba said, eventually.
Marcia? Sorry.
Yeah.
No,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
My interpretation is that is it the ultimate goal for us to realize that God is ourself, that we are God, and I sometimes feel like hopeless and helpless, like, wow. And I kind of had a train of thought, but it disappeared. But he says you can't really understand me. Well, I try to understand me. Just like obey me. That's number one. Obey, serve God, love God, and surrender to God. And when you hear, I know I rely more, like, now, instead of listening to my mind, I'm trying to get my mind in balance with my heart, because the mind, you have a thought, and then all of a sudden, if you don't trust that thought, maybe you have to look at it, but then your mind starts taking you everywhere, and then I get like, oh, I can't make up my mind. So I'm trying to just go minute to minute, and I know Baba is doing whatever he's doing in me is for me to see the things in myself that I don't like, that I need to work on. So it's kind of like I had to experience this year ticks, fleas. I just got COVID, and every time, and he gives me these situations so that I know, learn how to handle each situation to make me stronger. I don't look at these things as a bad thing. I look at them that they're a gift to learn how, like, instead of Baba doing everything for you, he's teaching me now to do things for myself and try to fix things myself and not look for, but ask for help if you need it, So he just gives us all these tools. And sometimes people get into things about words and things like that, but the whole thing is he's teaching us, he's planting the seeds of love in us, and he's the awakener, and that's what he's doing. And I feel since the pandemic came and we all got on Zoom together, I feel like all people, the connections that we are all together are from many lives, and he put us all here as a group because we're all tied with everybody. But how many people are in a Baba Zoom thing? It's just, I think the whole thing is just like one amazing, great thing. And we shouldn't try to pick it apart to death all the time, which is really good to do that. But maybe we should go back to the reading now. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, let's have Marion check in, and then you do the reading on page 95. We better move along with the book a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Hi. So yes, I'll try to make this short and concise because I'm not here to promote anything that I do, but just to join in with all of you in community. And that is that I don't have any, quick fix. I go in and out of doing provisional ego and then saying Baba's name and doing all different manner of practices. And then what I'm grateful for is having a grounding in my teaching and training that is how to work with these, because we have the mental body, subtle body, and physical body. And so everybody's very different. And what my dominant personality is more connected with, Baba said we have a triad nature of knowledge, power, bliss. And we have maybe one or two prominent ones. Mine is more the heart, having a heart open. But when I'm in my defense, and in the psychological sphere, which Baba said that too is spiritual, I'm very emotional. I get very over emotional. I get real emotional. Other people who are have their thinker more to the fore, they're going to get more intellectual and thoughtful. So I found it a blessing to learn more about what my personality type is, and that the only way the emotion body transforms is through expression. And as you can see on our earth, a lot of people are acting it out or suppressing it. But so I have my ways, my psychodrama ways, and Baba loves it, using Baba's picture. And so it's me personally. I don't tell anybody else to do what I'm doing, but it works for me because I'm so emotional that I have to tell Baba I'm releasing all of these emotions from my subtle body so that I may be filled with his light, love, and life. And then if I'm angry at somebody or somebody's triggered me, well, I just get out my pillow and hitting bat and I just beat everybody up. But I'm not attached to it because I've given it to Baba, and my intention is to clear my emotion body. And after that, I just vibrate, and it has nothing to do with anybody who's triggered it in me, and nobody causes that. So I just wanted to share that because it's sort of my personal process. I'm grateful I grounded in that, and everything that everyone has contributed tonight. I just want to say thank you. I am grateful. They are gems. Thank you.
Hey, well, take out your book there. Are you up for reading, starting out there? And then we'll get to Peter after a bit, but let's kind of get going into the book a little bit. Can you see it all right, Marion?
Who are you speaking to?
You, yeah.
Oh, me? Oh, you want me to read this?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, so tell me when to stop.
It's right there, and it should be on your screen there.
Where I stop?
No, we'll just start on chapter 17,
Okay.
page 95.
All right. Chapter 17, Changing Our Address. God is the only source of abiding joy, yet we fondly cling to the concept of our own separateness. The very last craving we have to relinquish is the desire for separate existence. It's a quote by Darwin Shaw. We have to go through many different lives, and at the end of each lifetime, we have to lay everything down. All we seem to have gained and all we seem to own. We have to let the whole thing go and start all over again, until after a while, we have the good fortune to meet a perfect master or the avatar who helps us to surrender the false self and become born of the spirit. Then we discover that we were not a physical body after all. We were spirit all along. When I met Meher Baba physically in 1934, one of the things he conveyed to me was, I have always been helping you. And he would say that to each one of us, because whether we realize it or not, he is the one helping within. So when we surrender to him, we are not a ship without a rudder. We have given the master the tiller to steer us.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's fine. You know, there used to be a T-shirt that people used to wear, and on the front of it said, life is tough. And on the backside it says, then you die. But luckily we know better than that. Let Peter, if you want to check in and also read the next section.
I'd love to read, however, I'm on the road right now, but this topic was, I'm going to be home in a couple of moments, but the topic was like very meaningful to me, being that, can I get into that, like that provisional ego stuff? Could I?
Yeah.
It's a little bit old, but when I talked to Jeff Wolverton and when I listened to Effort and Grace, Baba and the author saying we are God, it was very moving to me. And when I was told by a landlord, I'm selling a house now, you may have under 2 weeks to move, it was like, tough, that's what you got. I started doing what I call the first cause meditation, which was, instead of doing a transcendental meditation, I sat there and said, Baba's feeling this. You know, whatever I'm going through, Baba's feeling this. And I would do that, and the anxiety that I was feeling would just drain out of me for the most part.
So you're saying, just a second, you're saying Baba is feeling this, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I thought it
Yeah.
might have been healing, but feeling, yeah.
No. Actually, to me, Baba's feeling, Baba's healing, it may have been both the same. Yeah, I would sit there for about 20 minutes before work, 20 minutes when I got home from work, and I would feel it. And I felt it really, whatever kind of grounding I could get, it was a significant lesson or experience to say, okay, this is working for me. And whenever I go into a stressful situation, hopefully, even if it's on a superficial level, I remember that I'll say we're all God. There's one piece I want to throw in there as well, but maybe I'll wait. One thing that was very painful, and I want to piggyback on what someone else said about who are we, is that when I was in a shelter, I asked a mentor of mine about where we fit in the universe. Because if we're all God, what gives with all the corrupted souls? What gives with all the homeless people? What gives with all the thievery and all that stuff? And he made a point of saying that God will provide us with the people that are most suited to help us out of everybody. And I thought about that, and that made a lot of sense. And I'm sorry to say that most of the people that were helping me were fundamentalist Christians. because I was in a shelter, and that's what most of the people were that were helpful, and very kind. But when we wouldn't really go in deeper into the God thing, more on a neutral basis. But one thing that was very, very painful to me was when my mother died. I got minimal help from the Baba community. I got minimal help from the 12-step community. And that caused me to think that, and I'll be the Debbie Downer here. That's a role that no matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, that seems to just be my role in the universe right now. Is it kind of taught me that God, through all this, I'll also add through the time in shelter, so I did get a place. I'm on a housing voucher. I'm on a nice soft queen bed that I don't want to get out of right now. And it gave me significant evidence that I think rationally I can't ignore, that God has my back. That I'm like, all right, I can't ignore this. You have my back. I'm learning it on a deeper level, not totally deeper, but deeper level, that you have my back. But on the other hand, it makes it so I think just humans suck. Humans suck. I just don't like, I have such animosity toward these people known as humans, Bob lovers, whomever, because on another side note, even prominent Bob lovers who I trusted the right thing, I felt ignored by. And I'm like, well, they're not wrong in what they're doing. So it made me a very, very, it made me really question my worth. It made me very deeply question my worth, because on one hand, I looked at myself as garbage. On the other hand, I want to also piggyback on what someone said. This was a significant part of the real treasure. And this is something that's tough to reconcile, is that in Mondley Hall, there was a time when when a pilgrim came into Mondley Hall, and Erich rose up to go greet them. And they said, "Oh, Erich, don't get up." And he says, "Why do you deprive the opportunity to embrace the Baba in you?" I think that's a direct quote. And a person said, "Erich, do you really think that Baba is in us?" And he said, without hesitation, "Why would I bother myself to embrace you if I didn't think it was Baba I was embracing?" And I want to post it. So for me, it's tough to reconcile. Am I garbage or am I priceless? And that's often why I go into the provisional ego to say, all right, well, let me be Baba. Let me remember that now, because I know deeper levels, my way doesn't work. My thinking doesn't work. That's why in the morning I've gotten more dedicated to giving my day up to Baba, and again, submitting it to him at the end, because I want that more. I want more of the naturalness. I want to lose that damn snarkiness. I want to lose that damn, when I said I'll be the wet blanket, I want to lose that. It's not something I'm happy with, but I feel powerless over it. And on a final note, tell 12-steppers that we're God, and it's like heresy. I think that's also why I've separated myself from that community to some degree, but I still, to me, it's a very meaningful topic. It's one that helps to elevate to a next spiritual level, so to speak. And it's why I'm here, because I know I'm wrong. I know on some level, although I can't completely and utterly detach and separate myself from the lower thoughts, I know I'm wrong. That's why I'm here. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. That you shared yourself deeply, and knowing that what you're feeling deep down is what Baba is feeling in you, is a deep truth. That's, it's not, Baba's not over there aloof from everything. He's experiencing our life right here with us. Hey, so the next, I thought, let me call on Virginia. Are you up for reading?
Sure, I can read.
Okay, it's on a working stance. There it is. Yeah.
Okay. Let me enlarge that. Okay. Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
A working stance. Meher Baba knows that surrender is not easy for us to do. He says complete self-surrender is most difficult to achieve, and yet the most essential condition of spiritual advancement is the decreasing of egoism to its minimum. That is a very powerful statement. Somehow, while continually decreasing our egoism, we have to walk the sharp edge of the sword of inaction on the one hand and pride of action on the other. What a dilemma. I'm going to pause my reading for just a second and tell you, Jeff, that I would love for you to comment on what he meant by pride of action on the other when you have a minute. I had that question every time I've read this passage.
Yeah.
However, Baba provides a simple, practical way to deal with this dilemma: the creation of a new ego called a provisional ego to take the place of the ego that we build up and then dote upon. This new ego, Baba says, becomes the source of our confidence, feeling, enthusiasm, and go that true action must express. This provisional ego allows a working stance for consciousness that will be completely subservient to the master. Wholehearted allegiance to the master is vitally important. It means not holding anything back or keeping a secret life of your own still going on the side. Operating from the provisional ego, we shift our focus from thinking that it is we who are doing anything to thinking that it is the master who is doing everything through us. There is that paradox again. It is a matter of taking responsibility for our actions and feelings, yet bypassing the ego and attributing everything to the master, to his doing. Our purpose is to minimize the sense that we are doing anything. This provisional ego, surrendered to the master, helps us toward emancipation. We can use it throughout our journey on the spiritual path. Then, as Meher Baba says, when the time comes, it can be thrown away like a garment. The provisional ego is a means for drawing closer to the master within. Having a provisional ego is like having a close friend who happens to be a master, who is so close that you know or can get an inspiration as to what he wants or does not want. It is the assumption of an attitude of leaning toward the will of God. It is a matter of motive, meaning. Are we interested in samskaric fulfillment or the will of God? After we die to the false self, our motive becomes serving God's will. We give up interest in the false self.
Okay. So you're talking about, before we go on, I'll respond and someone else can if they want. Pride of action and inaction. You know, if we do nothing in our life, we're not going to face the challenges, but then we should be able to do things without taking pride in it. He's talking about more the narrow pride, not doing a work of art and you're really kind of happy with your product, but taking pride like this is better than someone else's painting, this work is better. Taking pride in it in the narrow sense. But he
okay. Sorry, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay, so he is saying in that movement then that we are not supposed to be inactive or have pride of action, that we're supposed to walk between those two. And so action without any pride, but also not being completely inactive.
Yeah, there's another thing that Darwin said, a great line: high self-esteem without egoism.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he's talking about pride in the negative sense, not being proud of your children, being proud of, your work, your work situation. But yeah, that's my feeling.
That helps me. The first time I had read this, I thought that they were saying you're supposed to, or thought Darwin was saying you are supposed to be balancing between inaction and pride of action, but he's actually saying don't do either of those. So that makes a lot more sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Do the action without as much, picking up as little residue as you can when you do something. Let it, often when we do something out of love, it evaporates as it goes along. There isn't the hangover of, with strings attached. It's more spontaneous. And there, in fact, you feel privileged that this loving thing happened through you. You're not taking pride in it, but you do feel the privilege that Baba somehow did a loving thing through you. So you're not really taking pride in it as something that came from you. But looks like there are a few hands there. We'll see if we answer any of this.
Anita.
From Nanaimo.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to say, well, this section was a bit about talking about surrender and just how, a lot of what we've been discussing, it really comes down to that. And it's really like following your feelings. Like if someone irritates you or you feel anxious or whatever the feeling, like we will naturally have thoughts too. But if you when you pause and are silent, you access what's actually in your heart. And we all know Baba's silence, like that's how he speaks to us, and that's how we access that provisional ego. So it's like when we pause and we're silent, we notice what we're feeling, and whatever situation happened, we notice what feelings are there. And if we touch that feeling, it's like you reach the vulnerability that's in those samskaras, and Baba is naturally there to just hold it all. And when you know it's there, he like you just want to surrender it to him. You just like you naturally give it to him, and his tenderness is there to hold it, and you can just let it go. But it really takes the courage of feeling those feelings and touching the feelings. And I think but he makes it so much easier to help us do that.
Beautiful. I said something like that to Erich, and he said, you are blessed to be doing that. What you're doing there, you're very blessed to be doing that at that level. Really.
It's hard. It is hard to do, but I think the more we can all take time and pause, like just stop, and whether it's through meditation or just being in a bit of seclusion, stepping away and being quiet, like going for a walk in nature by yourself, like that is the way to kind of notice what's actually here, like what is here that Baba wants me to feel. And that is the gateway to the heart, to let that purification happen, because Baba will be there. When you feel what is there, Baba will be there with open arms, and he just wants us to open our hearts. That's it, because we all have these closed hearts because we've had to protect ourselves through these lifetimes of suffering. Like we've had to survive the process of evolution, like we've had to. So all that closed offness, we're gradually opening up more and more of the heart, and that's the way that the light shines through.
Beautiful. Yeah. I know Erich once said that how you feel deep down, like the way you're talking, is how Baba feels to live in you. If you want to know how Baba feels to live in you, how you feel deep down, he's sharing that feeling with you. It's not like he's over there on some.
He really is. And I find that like touch helps with that too. It's like when you put your hand on your heart or your cheek or hold your own hand, it's like in those moments of feeling, it's like, that's Baba's hand holding yours or holding your heart. It's like he's there. Like he's always there with that touch or with that breath or whatever you use. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Simple words, a constant companion.
Yeah, Anita goes all the way back to the her lineage goes all the way back to the Prem boys in Iran. You can see you're a great exponent of that tradition of love. Beautiful.
It's not me, it's Bob.
Yeah, well, you picked it up. You got it on your radar. Okay.
Rosalie.
Yeah, we haven't seen Rosalie in a while. This is great.
I've been here. Gee, Baba, there's one line in Narina's diary, fragments from a spiritual diary, and Narina's gift. And it is so great that it just rolls off the tongue. And I think it eliminates any feeling of possible guilt. It's totally italicized. And it says, man can only do what I in him enact.
Excellent.
Man can only do what I in him enact. And I just think it's just so great because he is the only doer.
Yeah. Excellent line.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I have fun saying it too. Man can only do what I in him enact, and whatever anyone's doing to you too is man can only do what I in him enact. You know, during the so-called pandemic, whatever we went through them this few years, I love this in Baba speaking to Narina in the blue bus time. He says, see me live in you in small ways of life, the everyday ritual of selfless harmony. The unsatisfied element in you is God, who needs you to be like him. Anyway, nothing speaks to me so deeply as that mystical language. It's like, and just one thing I would say about it, anyone that's interested in it, it's sort of like a mental vacation. And boy, could we all use a mental vacation. You know, I mean, the world is fraught with worry now. And as Baba says, don't feel down by what I bring up in you. He's bringing it all up.
I like that line. Give us that line again. I like that line.
Don't feel down by what I bring up in you.
Yeah, that's a good line. I like that.
Yeah, don't feel down by what I bring up in you. Baba is his punning is so absolutely exquisite. And this other line that he says, I cannot rest unless I work. When I work, that is my rest. My work is in restlessness. I almost blew the punchline, but
Rosalie, sing that little line about I'm you, you know, the song that Scott did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sing that. Yeah.
I don't know if I could even sing at night now. This is be you, be real, be one. Be you, be real, be one. Be one in all, and I and you in me. Be one in all, and I and you in me. Be you, be real, be one. For me, what conclusion I've come upon is this mystical language is the way he said it's the way he speaks. It's the most executive way God can speak. he's using our language, but it's not the way we would use it. So it takes you out of your language with your language. And it's very disconcerting because we've been talking our so-called English language since before we were walking. It's pretty habitual, the way we use our language, you know. Anyway, man can only do what I and him enact. Jai Baba.
Hey, Baba.
Rick Lawton.
Hey there. A few weeks back, I put a note in the chat. A few weeks back, Ron shared a wonderful poem about riding a tandem bicycle with the Christ, and it intrigued me so much. I went and found it. I put in the chat the author's name and the title for the poem in case anybody else wanted to check it out. I just had one comment about the provisional ego, which is something that I find very appealing and certainly have set out to undertake many a time. And I encounter some resistance in me and let go of it, kind of forget about it, go back to it, and I get about the same distance down that road each time I try it. But it somehow it seems like really hard work. It feels like it's battling with everything else that's going on in my mind, and it's like kind of gets in the way. Maybe that's the point. But anyway, it's just that's been my experience with it. But I do long for that perspective. I think it would be terribly freeing and just a beautiful thing to be able to actually experience Baba doing through us all the time. In that same vein, there's someone shared an image with me, which I find very helpful and helps me remind me a little bit about what I think Baba's talking about here, and said, "You are Baba in a Rick suit." And that applies for each and every one of us.
Baba in a wetsuit.
Rick suit.
In a Rick suit. Okay.
Yeah, I am Baba in a Rick suit. You are Jeff in a Jeff suit. It kind of takes you out of the picture completely in a way.
Yeah, beautiful. Hey, I thought maybe I'd just share one of the things, what made it very difficult for me to really get a little bit more of an experiential side of the provisional ego. One of the things that I had great difficulty in is, I'd have these fearful thoughts or critical or, I'd be afraid of things. And I'm thinking, how could Baba be afraid of things? Am I kidding myself that Baba's thinking, this critically of this person, or he's afraid of this situation? I spent, years trying to overcome that, to imagine that Baba, that this is Baba, this is me. And so what I had to do is expand my definition of Baba to not just be these ideal qualities of, of poise and love and forgiveness and everything. I had to extend it, there's the perfect Baba and there's also the imperfect Baba. So that I wrestled with that for years to kind of, so that I could have these disturbing thoughts and imagine this Baba having these things and not me. And here's one thing I remember way back in the 70s, Eric said about the provisional ego, it's like a house of cards. But if you take credit for any one thing, the whole house of cards collapses. Like say, suppose you're doing the provisional ego and then you get really angry at somebody and you blow up, and then you say, you take credit for that. I did that. Then the whole house of cards of the provisional ego collapses. But, you just have to kind of build the cards up again and keep going. But that was one of the things that I had difficulty with. And the other, there's a line that's in the email where Baba says, when you do wrong, think it is Baba doing wrong. I spent about 10 years trying to accept that. when you do wrong, think it is Baba doing wrong. It's pretty hard to imagine that it's Baba doing this wrong that I have just done, especially if it's a heavy duty wrong. It's hard not to take credit for it. And yet he's saying, don't take credit for it. And there's there's one person you probably all know, Laura Smith, who lives here in Myrtle Beach. And she grew up, here at the center and all that. And, devoted to Baba. Her parents were Baba lovers. And then she went off to college and she got into drugs and alcohol. I mean, she's quite open about it. But she, knowing that Baba said, it's him doing it, when she would take drugs or alcohol, she says, Baba is taking this drug. Baba is drinking. And what happened, she just kind of brought Baba right into the mix. And one day she's walking by and she hears Baba say to her inside, there's a Narcotics Anonymous meeting over there across the street. Go into that, go through that door. And she did. And she got through the whole problem of addiction, she says, so much faster than if she had experienced this addiction as if it was not Baba, and Baba experienced it in isolation from Baba. By bringing Baba into it, she said she got through it so much faster. So basically, that's a proof that when you do wrong, think it is Baba doing wrong. So I mean, I thought, oh God, that gives you license to do anything, but actually that's not the case. But anyway, that's and well, here's a thing that had a great power, made a great difference in my sense of this provisional ego. One of Baba's Mandali named Sarosh, he joined Baba when he was 18. He lived in Ahmednagar, and he went to the Manzili Meme, which was in 1922, and a very strict life that they had there with Baba. And at the end of 9 months, Baba called each of the men in and asked what they wanted to do. They could stay with him, they could continue with their education. In the case of Sarosh, he was engaged to get married. So Baba gave his permission. So he got married and he went up to Nasik and they started their early life. And he got, I think, the franchise for the Chevrolet, for selling Chevrolet in India. So he was doing his life. And after a couple of years, he went to see Baba. And Baba was in this bungalow as I pictured it, as he described it. And Baba's in a very good mood and he's interacting with all of the men, but he keeps overlooking Sarosh. He'll respond to this person and then to that person. And all afternoon, Baba has actually has not acknowledged his presence. And eventually, Sarosh, who was like really tall, robust, strong guy, broke down, came before Baba sobbing and said, Baba, I haven't seen you in years. I've been here all afternoon. You've just ignored me. I haven't seen you in years. And Baba said, now you know how I felt all these years that you haven't come to see me. And so Baba said, now look in your heart. He looked down in his heart and he saw Baba and he fainted and they carried him out. He passed out. But what I mean is that this was I suspected Baba feels all these things that we feel that we might consider weaknesses. He feels them all the more than we do. And so it's not like he's aloof from all of these things. So that made a deep impression on me. That whatever I feel, good, bad, and ugly, he can feel, and he does feel. Anyway.
Jeff, it's 11:30. slow
Yeah.
down.
You know what? Well, yeah, let's just have the last two check-ins and then we'll, then we will kind of come to a close.
Okay, I'm going to call on Virginia because she hasn't talked, and then we'll go to Rich.
I had put my hand up before you started sharing, Jeff, but you shared something really apropos to what I wanted to say. An experience I had. So I was at the center the other week and had a lot of conversations with Jeff, and then came back home and was working on an emotional situation that was hard for me, and have been following the practice of giving to Baba, every emotion, both quote unquote positive, quote unquote negative, thoughts, experiences, actions, everything. And so I was continually trying to give this difficult emotion to Baba, but also judging myself for it. And I think trying to spiritual bypass it, trying to step out of it or away from it or not experience it by giving it up. And I very clearly heard Baba say to me, I want you to feel that. You're feeling it. It's there. If you deny that, you're denying me feeling that within you. So please feel it and tell me about it. And I did. And it was so healing in that moment and compassionate to hear from him that the humanness in me, he felt too. And it was him and me just as pure as the oneness experience and the God experience. And then once I fully shared it with him, it dissolved and evaporated. And I felt a lot more calmer and centered over this particular issue in the last few days. And then after that, I hadn't read Effort and Grace before. So then Jeff's email came in the next couple of days. And so I read the topic we were going to be working on this week. And I had another kind of difficult thing come up as I was going about my day today, and was trying to work on, letting Baba being Baba rather than being me. And just kind of got a sense of it's like a tightrope walk. Like as I was trying to imagine, because I can't actually fully experience being Baba in those moments, but I can maybe imagine what it might be like. So that's what I was trying to do. And as I was imagining that, I could both sense what it might be like and also could sense like all this sanskaric energy coming up at the same time, and him wanting that to process through in that moment. And it's like keeping that attention and awareness kind of one pointed on him rather than getting caught up on everything that's happening on the other side. It's definitely a balancing act. But I'll leave it with that. Thank you.
Yeah, beautifully shared. Wow. Yeah.
Rich, you want to land the plane?
Yes. Sure. Thank you. Hey, I still have this thought rolling around in my head that I'm going to say that I have a wonderful dog, and he's getting older, but he has instituted this nightly thing. So at about the time it gets dark, a little after, in the summer it was a lot later, we go out and I meditate. And he grabs a bone and says, "Are you coming?" And so I go with him and I go out and I sit in a chair and he chews on his bone and I try to meditate. Well, during a few of those sessions, I got kind of, I think I would say I got kind of high on Baba, I guess, but something came to me because I was reading the creation and its causes. And this is where those two things come together. But the avatar is not, it's what Baba says, he's not a limited human being. He's not really the guy we see in the pictures. The avatar is the avatar. He was the first soul that got infinite self-awareness and merged. And he comes down time and time again to give that same consciousness to us. So when Darwin says, I call it the transpersonal ego because of some reading I did many years ago. But when Darwin says, make Baba your self-awareness, not your interest in your stock market, not your interest in your love affair, not your interest in your car or your job. All he is saying is that you will do all those things, but be awakened to the fact that you are the avatar. You are the avatar. Why would he bother saying it if you weren't the avatar? Why would he bother saying I'm your personal savior in Christ terms, which I don't have any affiliation with Christianity whatsoever. But the only purpose for that is to make you aware that you're part of the avatar consciousness. Not everyone who's in the human body right now is ever going to experience that. I guarantee they can't. He says that. So old Jeff is like a superstar here for us all. And I know that. But to make it human, Jeff makes it very, very, very human. But to make it human, Baba allows for us to try, and Darwin expresses, try to think in terms of every day. So Darwin's wife, who I met her once, and what was said of her was Baba loved her because she would take Baba for walks on the center. So Baba asked her a question, and she said, Baba, when I go out through the trees, I say, Baba, look at this tree. Baba, look at the lake. Baba, look at the bird. And Baba was very happy with that, very happy with that. And I guess that's the way we can think of the avatar. But you and I, each one of us here tonight who has any interest in God, as God, consciously, is a part of that avatar, or we wouldn't be here right now. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening.
Yep.
Sorry.
So have we got any last minute quote? Anybody have a quote of Baba's to read, and before we have a moment of silence? Let's see. I haven't got anything with me.
Don't feel down by what I bring up. Meher Baba.
Yeah. Okay, good. Let's have a few moments of silence. Yay, Baba. I thought of a quote. This is a quote that that Darwin wrote down as Baba was dictating, where he said, "Don't worry, let me do the worrying. I enjoy working things out. There's no need for you and I to worry. If you are going to worry, then I won't worry." So I'll say that one again. Don't worry, let me do the worrying. I enjoy working things out. There's no need for you and I worrying. If you're going to worry, then I won't worry. So when we're worrying, we're robbing Baba of something he actually enjoys, to work things out. And he's got a lot more options to work things out than we do. Yeah. So Johannes and Sabine are all the way at probably 5 or 6 in the morning from Germany. I think we should give them a standing ovation.
5:30.
Great. And yeah, so we'll see next week. Maybe we'll finish a little bit more with the provisional ego, but then we'll move on to the next chapter, which is our real work. Yeah. And now, Jaya, where are you? Aren't you in Hyderabad? Whoop.
Next week we'll be going.
What's
At
that?
present, next week we'll be going to Hyderabad. Now
Where
I'm
are you?
in New Jersey.
Oh, New
with
Jersey. Okay, so
with Shilpa and this is
yeah,
kids.
11:30 for you. Anyway, see
Yes.
you folks. Keep Baba with you. I'm very touched. Everybody was so fantastic. Everybody's trying to remember Baba in every way, shape, or form. throughout their day. And I just think it's, I mean, I feel Baba is so, I've said many times, Mani used to say, you have to see things through Baba's eyes. And so I kind of cultivated that over the years. And I always feel Baba's very happy with every little effort we make, much more than we think. And all of our kind of failures and difficulties, it all means the world to him. You know, there are only a 0.0001 people in the world who looked up from their newspaper to notice Baba walking by. Somehow we looked up.
Can I sing the
Go ahead.
7 names of God?
Say that again?
Can I sing the 7 names of God?
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Hari Matoma Allah Ahura Mas Gada Yazadampu Hari Paramatma Allah Ahura Mas Gada Yazadampu Hari Mahatma Allah Ahura Mas Gada Yazadampu Meher Baba Hari Paramatma Allah Ahura Mas Gada Yazadampu Hari Paramatma Allah Ahura Mas Gada Yazadampu Hari Paramatma Allah Ahura Mas Gada Yazadampu. Avatar Mir Baba Ki Jai. Avatar Mir Baba Ki Jai. Avatar Mir Baba Ki
Dar
Jai.
Meher Baba Ki Jai. Jai Baba Mash.
Beloved God, help us
Let's get 'em
all to
up.
love you more and more and more and more and still yet more until we become worthy of union with you, and help us all to hold fast to Baba's Dhamma until the very end. Jai Baba.
Okay.
Jai Baba.
Dinesh.
Jai Baba.
Wonderful.
All
Yeah,
right.
Jai Baba. Yeah.
That gets you high.
You guys have a good week. You know, don't let the world get you down too much. It's hard.
And trust everything to Baba, good or bad, right? Yeah.
Nita.
Yeah.